everyone, it is your boy Egungu of Lagos and I am here with Lagata. You guys, don't worry, this is not Egungu of Lagos, neither is this Lagata. This is Udochi Adachuk in her full glory, and welcome back to my channel. So what will I be doing today? I'll be reviewing the movie Hijack 93, the Netflix movie released on 25th of October. You guys are today hot. So before I start with the review, let me give you a breakdown of the story, because it is a true life story. It's an adaptation from a real life event. So let me give you a breakdown of the story. So the whole trouble started on October 25th, 1993, when 4 Nigerian teenagers said, oh, we are not satisfied with whatever is happening and let us go and hijack a plane. Now they hijacked a plane going from Lagos to Abuja. That plane was carrying 193 passengers plus crew members. Inside the plane was the then vice president of China and then some influential Nigerian politicians, you know now. So it was targeted. It was deliberately, that particular plane was deliberately targeted because all these high top shots were inside the plane. So they hijacked this plane, and then mid-air they put a gun on the pilot's head and was like, you know what, divert this plane to Frankfurt. Frankfurt is in Germany, by the way. Divert this plane to Frankfurt. And the pilots were like, we don't even have enough fuel. The fuel we have is just for Lagos to Abuja, so we can't possibly land in Germany. And they're like, okay, we can move to Niger and refuel. Then from Niger we now go to Germany. You guys, they forced this plane to move to Niger to refuel. Unfortunately, when they got to Niger, they could not leave because obviously they were already, you know, surrounded. So when they got to Niger, negotiations started. So they were like, oh, we can't release these passengers until you accede to our demands. Now, what were they demanding? They were asking that the military government hand over to the to Moshood Abiola, who legitimately won the election. Mind you, in 1993 there was an election where Abiola won with over 8 million votes. I wanted to say views, with over 8 million views. But for some strange reasons, the military government were like, it was not free and fair, and because of that, they annulled the election. Nigeria went as in Nigeria turned upside down during the period. There was massive protests, riots. In fact, it felt like there was going to be another war in 1993. So everybody, every group, they were literally doing everything to bring the military government to do the right thing. For those 4 boys, they felt like, oh, we owe our nation a responsibility to force the military government to announce Moshood Abiola as the president of Nigeria. Military government, never. And you guys, they refused, obviously, and so negotiations started and all of that. So at some point the boys had to, because it was already, they actually thought it was something that they would do, and immediately the military government would accede to their demand. But people no send, I mean, they were more interested in, you know, holding on to governance and all of that. Well, the boys threatened to set the plane ablaze if they don't accede to their demand. Okay, eventually they agreed to release the passengers in batches, and luckily for them, the Niger government was even lenient. They were willing to listen. At the end of the day, they reached an agreement. So if we release all of these passengers, you will not send us back to Nigeria, because obviously if your legs step to Nigeria, things are going to happen. Okay, so the Niger government agreed, and they released all of the passengers in batches, and then the few ones that were remaining, after like 4 days, the police had to invade the plane to, like, you know, do all of the whole last minute rescue and all of that. Unfortunately, only 1 person died. One of the crew members died. Every other person was released. Like the guys were arrested, and they said they were tried in Niger. They were not sent to Nigeria. They were tried in Niger, and they spent like 9 years and a few months in prison, Niger prison. So that's basically a rundown of the story. You can go and read it up, because it's a really popular story and all of that. The 4 of the men are still alive today. In fact, their parents are still alive, and they were, after the whole event and everything, they were classified as heroes, which is debatable anyways. Maybe after watching the movie and reading up the story, you can argue for or against the fact that they were heroes. So what do I like about this movie, and what isn't so, you know, pleasant about the movie? Let's get to that in a minute. So first things first, let me talk about the pros. I just feel like our Nigerian movie producers are trying, like they're doing their best to reenact some of histories, because we no longer read as much anymore. So these movies try to bring our remembrance, because to be very honest, before now, I did not take this hijack thing seriously. It was something like an American movie heist, or, you know, something, you know, out of the blues. Like way back in 1992, somebody had the thinking to do this. It was kind of weird. I like the fact that although we are not doing much, because with American movies, for instance, you have so much reenactment. There's literally no event in history, in American history, that's not been acted in a movie. But for us, we are still, starting a lot of history. Like, time has really washed away most of these things, but I need to give it to them. Like, we are waking up to this new reality. We are waking up. So what are the things I like about the movie? First of all, let's talk about characterization. I like the fact that every character was shitty. I like the fact that the major roles were given to unpopular people, and then the side roles, like very famous people. For instance, John Dumelo was the pilot. He did not really show face that much. Then Sam Dede also did not show face, although he was very influential in the movie. He did not show face that much, and they gave those roles, and I'm like, Sam Dede, there's no other person that would have bodied that role more than Sam Dede. It just had to be him. It just had to be him, like the militant and the whatever vibe, he had it right from time. So Sam Dede, Bob Manuel was the chief commander of the army. Of course, although we know Bob Manuel as a very, gentle guy, lover boy, those kind of things, but he took that role, like, seriously. I didn't even know he was really that tall. And then, of course, I like the fact that the 4 major characters, the 4 boys who hijacked the plane, were new characters. Like, I looked forward to that. Like, I looked forward to the fact that, we don't want to see the likes of Stan Nze. Not like Stan Nze isn't a good actor, but we want to see fresh faces. We want to, like, don't force those popular people on us. Let's see these new guys. Let's see how much they can do. So I feel like the characterization is perfect. Every single person for that role killed it, like, perfect. And then the air hostesses, Sharon, Oja, Jemima, and the 2 other girls. Yeah, I like how the characters are just perfect. I also like the costume. The fact that all the air hostesses were carrying synthetic hair is realistic. I mean, like, this is 1993. There was no human hair. There was no Brazilian wig, Peruvian wig, Vietnamese hair, Chinese hair. No, all of them had this very funny synthetic hair with bob, and and it was so beautiful. I also like the whole costume generally. In fact, like the whole jean on shirts, button on t-shirts, it was given 1993. Like, I felt like I was really in 1993. I also like how they portrayed the ethnic squabble between Yorubas and Igbos. But come to think of it, what part of history did they erode? That part of history that showed where a Yoruba man or one of our Yoruba ancestors snatched an Igbo man's wife, or the other way around? Because why are Yorubas and Igbos always at loggerheads, like, every single time? And even in that movie, when there was a problem and the Yoruba man was like, let us cooperate, let us unite, the Igbo man was like, look at who he's talking about the cooperation. Emeka was thinking about his shop in Onitsha, and then this Yoruba man now suggested that they should come say, look at who is talking about cooperation. I don't know, like, the whole squabble, the Yoruba and Igbo fight, when is it ever going to end? And this movie actually portrayed it in a way that feels, so good. And the portrayal of reality, at some point I was like, wait, are we just going to, is this movie just literally about people trying to hijack a plane? Are they not going to add side attractions to make us, like, what, in between sengemenge? It's just like eating a food and there's no obstacle, okay? But eventually there was a little bit of obstacle, because one of the hijackers fell in love. And then there was childbirth. A woman that was pregnant put to bed in the plane. This particular event is actually symbolic. It's just beyond. It's beyond just getting pregnant and giving birth at the plane, right? So that childbirth symbolizes a new beginning for Nigeria, a new beginning for Nigerians, a new beginning for Nigerian youths. Before now, Nigerian youths could not speak up against bad governance or make such rash decisions and take bold step as much as this hijack. But this childbirth represents a lot, because if you check it, this event happened in 1993, and by 1997 the Gen Zs were born. These Gen Zs no send anybody. Like, they can criticize any government, they can insult the president, they can insult anybody. That's how, like, the boldness, the bold activism and all of this, like, the childbirth represents a start of a new Nigeria. But are we experiencing a new Nigeria? Well, I'll leave it to decide. We also get to see the life outside, like the 4 boys. So it's so easy to judge them. Why did you make such a decision? Why didn't you go through the legal means? Why didn't you go through the normal way? But you guys, when we get to see the lives of these people outside of the plane, we just know that, okay, maybe they were forced to it. Nigeria somehow one way or the other forced them into this thing. So the movie showed us the life outside, you know, the plane. Like for instance, one of the hijackers, his father was really abusive. Another one lost his child to, you know, violence and terrorism, you know, all of that. So in a working system, that wouldn't have happened. And even if his child was shot, probably he would have seen a good hospital to take the child, and then she wouldn't have died. So all of this anger built up, piled up, and it got them to, you know, decide and all of that. Another thing is the number one suspense, the gun suspense. You guys, I'm not about to tell you this story. I'm not even about to spill the beans. But the first thing I noticed about this movie was, I asked myself a question: how did the gun enter the plane? Because you know, when you check into a plane, they check you, they scan you for metals and all of that. So the first thing I asked myself is, how did this gun make it to this plane? Okay, that was like I was like, are these guys trying to pull up an Asaba stunt or not, or what? But you guys, as I watched and towards the end, you only get the answer to that question at the last scene, and you'll be amazed. Trust me, I like that suspense, because from the beginning I had to rewatch that scene, the gun scene. I'm like, I need to know how this gun entered the plane. But you guys, you'll never get the answer until the very last scene. I'll leave you to watch the movie and get the answer yourself. Another thing I got from this movie is how, like, okay, Sam Dede is the leader for the movement of the advancement of democracy. He puts these 4 boys into this thing. Now, I wouldn't say Sam Dede is really a bad person, but it's how, like, a lot of people push people to do things, and then they are at the background. They are invisible, they are unknown. They don't come out as, oh, my name is Udochi Adachuk and I am the leader for the movement of the advancement of democracy. No, they're in the background, brewing people, training people on how to, you know, like, do take over the government by any means, but they don't show their face. So it got me thinking, even in 2024, a lot of people do this. Like, you have leaders of invisible leaders of groups that push people to go and take action, go and protest, go and do this, go and do that, and then they lose their lives in the process, and then they are free. Because in the end, we don't even know what happened to the leader of the movement of advancement movement for the advancement of democracy. We don't know whether he was arrested. He probably fled the country and is living a good life wherever he is right now. So, you know, it happens. So now that I've talked about the pros of this movie, let us talk about the cons, or some of the things that were just you know, off, because it has to be now. There has to be good and bad, and then ugly. So let's talk about the bad. The first thing I noticed was that the plane was not moving. Yeah, I get that it's a movie, and then of course the plane doesn't have to move. But the thing is, you know, the way they edit movies, and it gives an impression that the plane is moving and all. The plane was static throughout, and I was like, at the initial stage, I was like, please, people should just park and do the remaining. Because even while you were portraying that this plane is actually flying up there was no movement. Everywhere was just static, and I was like, it no go well. So secondly, then the scene where the air hostess go down to bring some of the supplies upstairs, because like I said, these people were held for like 3 to 4 days. So of course their supplies had finished, so they had to order for supplies and then go downstairs to bring it. Imagine air hostess going down to bring supplies up, and they're just calm, like nobody's scared, like they're just walking down the staircase to bring the supplies. I was like, people were whole gone, people should calm down now. Like, it was not realistic for me. And aside that one, after like the first shock of, oh, you have been hijacked, you have been kidnapped, you are hostages now, they were like, the passengers were no longer scared. Everybody was just relaxed until the last minute. I was like, wait, you guys have been kidnapped, like, act it. There's no way you are not scared. Even if you are held in kidnappers den for like 6-7 days, you are depressed, you are sad, you are not calm. There's nothing calm about this situation. But at the end of the day, apart from the first shock, everybody was now calm. Everybody was just doing their thing. Somebody sleep. What are you sleeping for? Why the heck are you sleeping? Like, it was so bizarre anyways. So that one, Another thing is doctors going, there was a doctor. So in the original story, the China's vice president was on board that plane. So, but in this particular one, it was the ambassador to Nigeria's Chinese ambassador to China. His son was on board that plane, and to be very honest, the military was just concerned about that guy and then the politicians. But now they were looking for a way to get him out. Okay, let me not tell the story like I said. But now this guy falls sick, and they had to call in a doctor. You guys, the moment they were calling a doctor, my mind went to too many things. I'm like, okay, maybe this is where the plot twist is. But the plot twist I was expecting, or the plot twist that would have added a spice to the whole thing, was just not it. Because initially I was like, okay, maybe the doctor will come, or a military man will come disguised as a doctor. Maybe he will plant something like a camera in to monitor what's happening there. Maybe he is an informant, not really a doctor. He's an informant. He'll get into the plane and find a way to, you know, disorganize the boys, and, you know, like a lot of things were just coming to my mind. Maybe this guy is actually not a doctor and all. But the plot twist there was just, because I was like, shouldn't you guys have disguised somebody to just go in there? Like, you just sent a normal doctor and came out and all of that, you guys. Anyways, moving on. Another scene that got me thinking, like, bro, you guys did a good job. Why are you guys spoiling it with this? Was when the boys, like on the last day when there was an invasion, the boys now came out with their small tiny thing that looked, in the actual story, was in a toy gun, small gun, for a shootout. Like, you guys have been respecting yourself all this while. Like, you know that you cannot, never, there's no way in the world you're going to overshadow the armed men, armed soldiers with snipers and everything outside waiting for you, only for them to open the door with their tiny gun. They are now shooting at the soldiers. Like, what kind of, like, God, it was just funny and annoying at the same time. You guys already did a good job by holding these people and even striking a deal. Why are you not coming out with your short toy gun to shoot at soldiers that are heavily armed? What, how does that even make sense anywhere in the world? Like, I was just like, when I spoiled the movie for that side, shall I not even lie. Anyways, generally it was a good movie, and I like the fact that they portrayed the Nigerian government. Let me just say a little about that. The fact that the Nigerian government was like, we have a list, 11 names. If you release those 11 names, then maybe like they were concerned about these 11 names. Now these 11 names comprise the Chinese ambassador's son, and then top high ranking politicians that were inside that inside that plane. And then again, politicians, like the Nigerian government would always prove that they are, oh, Nigerian government, like one of the politicians now dragged one of the guys aside and wanted to bribe him with $10,000. I say, even if this country is on fire, some people will just, the way they want to cut corners, just save me, I'll give you $10,000. I know in your entire life you will never make such a money, save me. Hey God, I was like, which kind of problem we enter? Have we entered one chance in this country, really? Okay, so basically this movie, yeah, it's a historical movie, and I just want you to watch it and then watch a lot of other historical movies. It will help you understand the country where you live in. It will help you understand where we currently are and where we are heading to. Okay, anyways, this is my little piece on this movie. Tell me what you like about this movie. Tell me what you dislike about this movie. Will this review make you watch it? Anyways, I'll see you in the next movie review. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.